First tonight, though, all eyes on China amid allegations that it has backed a social campaign to discredit Hong Kong's protest movement. Facebook and Twitter have suspended nearly 1,000 active accounts linked to the alleged campaign. Twitter has also shut down another 200,000 accounts which they say have behaved in a coordinated manner to amplify messages related to the Hong Kong protests. In addition, Twitter says that it will no longer accept advertising from media that are either financially or editorially controlled by the Chinese state. It says the measure will be applied globally and enforced across its entire business. Both Twitter and Facebook are also taking down accounts and ads linked to outlets like Xinhua and the Global Times. For the perspective from Beijing now, let's cross to Olivia Xiong. Now, Olivia, what has been the Chinese response so far to these allegations?
Well, questions were posed at the Foreign Ministry briefing earlier today, and the spokesperson, Geng Shuang, well, he did not directly answer or give comments to the latest actions of Twitter or Facebook. But what he did say was that overseas Chinese people and overseas Chinese students had the right to express their opinion. He also said that the 1.4 billion Chinese, their stance on Hong Kong affairs is very clear. And what is happening in the city and what is the truth, people will be able to judge for themselves. He added on and questioned why it is that an official Chinese media's presentation has to be seen as negative, in this regard. Now, we have to remember that Facebook and Twitter are blocked here on the mainland, but is able to be accessed in Hong Kong. And the spokesperson added that Chinese media, they do use overseas social media to share Chinese stories and strategies with people around the world. And he questioned why there was such a huge response from certain companies and certain people without directly mentioning Twitter or Facebook. Now, online in the social media space, the Chinese social media space on Weibo, the Communist Party ran People's Daily in relating this news in a post, also said in its post to netizens, is this what is so-called freedom of expression? And to this, there were several comments from netizens who said that this latest move from Facebook and Twitter does seem like an insult to China, and says that this is also an insult to freedom.
Olivia, what are Chinese netizens saying about the Hong Kong protests, and where do they hear about the protests?
Well, in general, I do think that many people here on the mainland in China are opposed to the protests in Hong Kong, especially the violence that they have seen. But we do have to remember that Twitter and Facebook and such social media are blocked. So many are turning to Chinese social media, and here we are talking about Weibo and WeChat as well as TikTok to get that information about what's happening in Hong Kong. And over here on the mainland, the narrative is being tightly controlled. Now, when the protests first began more than 2 months ago, there was silence here from Chinese state media. Very little was reported. But as the situation continued to escalate, as tensions escalated, the focus has turned to the violence of the radical group of protesters. And here we saw many videos and posts and articles on, for example, the national emblem being defaced, as well as the airport being crippled by protesters, as well as the Global Times reporter being mobbed and assaulted by protesters as well. So that is what many Chinese here in the mainland are seeing, and is why they are so opposed to what is happening. What has also been allowed to flourish in the Chinese online space is a lot of pro-police, pro-Hong Kong police sentiment, and it continues to push the narrative that there is foreign interference in what we are seeing in Hong Kong. Most recently, Chinese state media labeled a new gang of four, this new gang of four being four very senior Hong Kong Democrats. And this term, gang of four, actually originating from the Cultural Revolution, referring to the late Chairman Mao Zedong's allies who were seen to have become infamous during that upheaval. And so now this new label being imposed on these 4 Hong Kong Democrats who they say have had contact with American politicians as well. And so what we are seeing in the online space and what Chinese are seeing is very much what the central government line has been. And in recent times, that line has been that the actions of protesters have been near terrorist-like and that they are sparking a color revolution in Hong Kong.
Many thanks for that, Olivia Xiong, speaking to us from Beijing.